do it on your end, that'll be great. If you
Yes,
can't,
sir.
we got a backup plan for you because we got to take good care of the brother.
Well, I really appreciate that, sir. As soon as your technical support guy gives me, it says, as soon as he gives me the authority, then I would take over the steering wheel and we'll proceed from there.
Well, I want to thank you personally. You're doing a great job. And, a lot of times people don't understand when we are working, there are other things going around in our lives. And, for those who don't know, Dr. Alanubi would have been here on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. He only got here on Saturday, but family's first. And I always talk about family first. And when things are going on in your family, you got to step back and take care of family. But we really appreciate you taking some time away from your family to talk to us today.
Well, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for you, and I'm grateful for the team, and I'm grateful for the community. So
Well,
thank you very much.
it looks it looks like you're up. I'm gonna step out of the room and let you steer the car.
Okay, Dr. Kelly. Let's see. Let me expand this here, and let me go here. Is this? It's allowing me to. Um, okay. I'm trying to activate the presentation, but I can't. It's not letting me. Okay, is that coming? Let's see. Uh, is there any way I can do it inside of my um, computer without being inside of this window? Mr. Lee, is there any way you can give me the controls to control the PowerPoint presentation directly without being inside of the window? Dr. Alanubia calling technical support. I would like to be able to expand the window just a little bit if I could, and I don't need to have the. Well, let's just try it and here go from here. Greetings, audience. It's an honor to be here. I'm the good brother, Dr. Alanubia. Um, I think grateful to Dr.
Mark,
Kelly.
Mark, let's see what we can do about getting this screen dealt with. He was trying to see if he could do it on your computer. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Normally, when you give me control, you allow me to operate it
Okay, we're
from
gonna
my.
let you take a few minutes and see if you can do that because we're 7:14 in. Okay.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. Let me out of here, guys.
Let's see. Share screen. Let me see. The two this. Okay. Share screen. Okay. All right. Now looks like we may be cooking with Crisco here in a moment. Wonderful. Wonderful. Uh, I want to give my appreciation to Mr. Lee. It looks like we are coming on board now. Thank you very much. Here, let me go into this presentation mode. And okay. Here we go. Greetings, everyone within the sound of my voice. It's an honor to be with you today. I want to thank Dr. Eric Kelly. Also, want to thank Mr. Lee uh, with with the Blues Radio for doing an excellent job with his technical acumen. I'm Dr. Alan Ubia with Network Commerce Association. Um, 25 years in the industry, uh, in technology, media, and telecommunications. I gave the first part of my life to the corporate world. And after having seen the opportunities for best practices, key performance indicators, and things like that executed on a corporate Fortune 500 level with the likes of Deloitte and Touche, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Ernest and Young, Capgemini, Accenture, and many others, I'm reminded of something that my father instilled in me from a very young age. And what he communicated to me was that an ounce of gold or a ton of gold is still gold. An ounce of gold or a ton of gold is still gold. So when we look at our community and we look at the trends and things that are happening in the community, I'm just going to talk to you briefly a little bit about where we came from, where we are, and where we're going as it relates to community engagement, college relationships, and commercial endeavors. So I'm going to move forward to the next slide. Okay. Next slide, please. I'm going to go ahead and start this video. Seems like we have a delay. Let me see something.
Thank you for having us. We appreciate you. All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Back up. Move it. Let's see. Okay, I'm sitting here on Gigabyte Ethernet. Let me back up a little bit. Let's go to the previous slide.
Situation such is you've been a violator, and it is what it is. If you were speeding, I mean, politeness used to work for me. I mean, I understood a lot of people have a lot of
I'm not sure if I'm live, Mr. Kelly. I'm not sure if I'm live, Mr. Kelly. Dr. Kelly. Try it again.
Show him respect, and he should as well. People don't understand. If you do not give respect, you should expect respect. If you talk to him as if he is just a man, he's a human being, you talk to him and treat him with that respect, it's okay. He'll give it back. If there are issues with, not make any sudden movements, they pull you over, wait, and let them approach your vehicle. They approach your vehicle, let them initiate it. You can speak if you like, and let him ask you for advice. If it's in your
going.
tell him. If it's in your glove box, that's where you tell him, and let him know that that's what you're doing.
Am I on live? Dr. Kelly, I don't see anything. I'm not sure whether I'm streaming or not.
You're the model citizen, and you're saying, okay, fine, I'm not gonna cause any problem.
Me. Yeah, there we go. You are live. It's got video. I hope that you enabled the sound because you need to enable the sound, but the presentation is up.
Okay, I did it. The sound is enabled. It's just a direct link. Done this before, but 1 second, please. Hello.
What did he just do? Where'd they both go? What the heck?
Eric, bringing you up.
And of course, we have the little technical difficulty. Full frame, please. Full frame.
Yes, gonna have to move him. And I'm gonna have to
Mm-hmm.
move him. There you go.
Okay, you know what we're gonna do? Hey guys, you talking about technical difficulty. This is technical. Technical difficulty. Yes,
And he's gonna try to
indeed.
come back up, so maybe
You
you and him
know,
can
we're
talk.
gonna we're gonna keep working with the gentleman. You know, I always want to give you some, want you to make it happen. What we need to do now, we are 7:21 in, so we're gonna see if the doctor can kind of, talk about it this time, and then what we'll do is we'll come back on Sunday and work out the whole entire program because right now, I don't want him to lose the time that he has.
I can go through it kind of quick. Are we there?
You're good. Go ahead.
Would you like to increase your performance in distribution and sales and marketing, in research development and manufacturing, and in business functions such as finance, human resources, procurement, and supply chain while leveraging technology? Or maybe
Try
you and your
again. I'm going
business
to the screen again.
need financial services. We can analyze your financials, grow your business through alliances.
Yeah.
Would you like to increase your performance in
Yes.
distribution and sales and marketing, in research development and manufacturing, and in business functions such as finance, human resources, procurement, and supply chain while leveraging technology? Or maybe you and your business need financial services. We can analyze your financials, grow your business through alliances, co ops, mergers, or acquisitions, and we can plan your exit strategies by selling, liquidating, or implementing options such as worker cooperatives. Or maybe you just have insurance needs, life, health, disability, property and casualty, bond services, risk management services, and annuities. Network Commerce Association. Transform vision to equity.
Thank everyone for that. I'm going to move on to the next slide. The next slide talks about why and who are the Block socioeconomic development missionaries. We are business architects, socioeconomic engineers, and contractors. The Block is a consortium of Black-owned and operated businesses committed to our ancestors' instructions, like the ones here with Dr. Martin Luther King, where he talks about the blueprint. Oftentimes in our great history as a people, we have to go back. There's something called the spirit of Sankofa. And the spirit of Sankofa reminds us to go back and visit our excellence. It's a picture of a bird carrying an egg on its back while it's moving forward. It's carrying the current generation, but also it's honoring the past from which I want to share with you this video from Dr. Martin Luther King, just as a reminder. But in a little brief notion, Dr. King charges us in his 1967 speech in Philadelphia called The Blueprint that we should learn, baby, learn. And that I mean intellectual intercourse, collegiate engagements. We should earn, baby, earn. We should engage in commercial intercourse, create relationships with the industries that are around us, get an understanding of the supply chains, and build relations that way. Because if we don't trade within our community, then we will fracture when we attempt to trade outside of our community because we just won't have the capacity. Next, organize, baby, organize. It's community engagement. How are we taking those gold nuggets that our parents and grandparents sacrificed for us to go to school and get an education? And how are we, the educated, bringing, whether we come from a Marcus Garvey perspective or whether we come from a W.E.B. Du Bois perspective, how are the architects and engineers and the contractors and heating and air conditioning guys, how are blue collar and white collar coming together in a design build fashion in order to fortify our communities? So here, the next mission is organize, baby, organize. And I hope and I'll share you some examples of that as well. And the last tenet from Dr. King that he challenged us to do was build, baby, build. Economics 101 is land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurial development. So let's take a listen to Dr. King.
Yes. You gotta hit play. Mhm. Okay. Yeah, Dr. King.
And crucial period of your life for what you do now and what you decide now at this age may well determine which way your life shall go. The question is whether you have a proper, a solid, and a sound blueprint. And I want to suggest some of the things that should be in your life's blueprint. Number one in your life's blueprint should be a deep belief in your own dignity, your own worth, your own somebodyness. Don't allow anybody to make you feel that you are nobody. Always feel that you count. Always feel that you have worth. And always feel that your life has ultimate significance. Secondly, in your life's blueprint, you must have basic principles, determination to achieve excellence in your various fields of endeavor. You're going to be deciding as days and years unfold what you will do in life, what your life's work will be. Once you discover what it would be set out to do it and to do it well. Be a bush if you can't be a tree. If you can't be a highway, just be a trail. If you can't be the sun, be a star. For it isn't by size that you win or you fail. Be the best of whatever you are. Finally, in your life's movement must be a commitment to the eternal principles of beauty, love, and justice. Well, life for none of us has been a Christmas staff. We must keep moving. We must keep going. If you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But by all means, keep moving.
Dr. King, in that speech, reminded us of the excellence that is us. The reason why I looked at that is because I often think about how many of us go to school, go to professional sports, excel in our endeavors, and we look at the gentrification that's happening at home. Gentrification is not happening at home because our children or our grandchildren are there to protect us. Gentrification is happening at home because we abandoned economics 101A. We abandoned the land. We abandoned the farms. We abandoned the cities because we thought moving into an urban or suburban community was better. Meanwhile, we left grandmother and grandfather alone, the first inheritors of the civil rights movement, the baby boom generation. 78 million Americans, the baby boom. And Malachi suggests that I'll pour you out a blessing that you won't have room enough to receive. Why did we create the block socioeconomic? Because our elders instruct us to diminish. The current trend and number one threat to national economic security in the United States is something called the silver tsunami. The silver tsunami. Okay, and what that is 78 million baby boomers pouring everything they worked for into 40 million children. And when you take a 78 million people cup where retirement and death is inevitable, and you pour it into a 40 million population, then that cup is going to overflow. And with all the love and respect for our millennials, 80 million millennials, we are affectionately known in my generation as the orange generation. So it takes a village for excellence to be applied in our community. This next video is going to give you a background regarding the silver tsunami.
Your videos.
Okay, I hit the play button. uh, okay. Basically, what the challenge that we have in our community regarding the silver tsunami is that 90, about 2% of the African American community have created a succession plan, which says you worked your whole life to get where you are. The children don't want the business, they don't want to do the business. Some of them, the grandchildren, are too old. And as I just explained just a moment ago, the silver tsunami is a phenomenon where for our community, it's either going to be a blessing or a curse. When we see grandma and grandpa selling land in our community because their children and their grandchildren live in another city, this is some of the reasons why we are facing the silver tsunami. I'm going to try this next video uh, because I know that wisdom is found in the multitude of counselors. And here, this next video is a gentleman who had the #1 radio station in Huntsville, Alabama, for the whole state of Alabama, with over 100,000 watts, sharing with us a little bit of his opinion. Excellent gentleman, Mr. Huntley Batts. Okay. Don't know what to say about these videos, but they're live links to YouTube. So let me just go ahead and progress. Mr. Lee, is there anything you can help me out with?
See if I can get my hand. Let me go in.
My approach is that of a crescendo. And what I mean by that, a lot of times people say, well, go ahead and just give it to me straight, cut through the butter. Um, However, if you're a divine farmer of sorts, you realize that the first thing you have to do is to till the soil. The second thing we have to do is to sow the seed, and then the third thing we have to do is bring home the harvest. And a lot of times in business, we've often heard people say, those who fail to plan to fail. And oftentimes we feel like the reason why we are not successful, have not been successful in business, is simply because we don't have the money. I would challenge the community that that is not the reason. The plan is more important than the money. We need to create plans that hold water. If the water represents your money or the nourishment that you need to feed yourself, your family, or your community, and you had to walk 2 or 3 miles to the well and pump the water and bring it back to your family, and you know that your family was dependent on that water, then it is in our best interest, as much as we need the water, is to make sure that we design a container, a cup that can hold the water. And then once we do that, we also need to magnetize the cup. Magnetize what the young people call the plug. We need to become the suppliers and the distributors for our community. We are a $1.4 trillion market. One of the things, I was with Mr. Bob Johnson in 2001 when he announced at the Congressional Black Caucus that he was selling BET. And during that meeting with the council, with the press corps and a number of Black entrepreneurs, he said, a lot of you may be upset with me for this decision to sell BET. He said, but let me explain to you what my rationale was. See, when I grew up, you had to watch the Lawrence Welk Show or Hee Haw. And when BET, pretty much like Jet Magazine and Ebony before it came into the market, folks realized that Black people buy cars, Black people buy houses, Black people buy healthcare. And so what he said was, I sold BET for $3.1 billion. I didn't pay taxes on it. And he asked us in a dividend exchange if we could survive off of a 3% dividend on $3 billion. Hence, Mr. Bob Johnson became the single largest shareholder in the second largest media enterprise in the world, that being Viacom. I'm going to move to the next slide. And I'm going to talk about the kickoff. When I came home after traveling 100,000 air miles a year and raising a family, and I looked in our community, I again remembered some of the things that my father said. And he said, if we take the sharpest instruments out of our community and send them to another community to serve, then when is the likelihood? What is the likelihood that we're going to return? So what we did is we put something together, a kickoff back in 2019 that we called the 20-month countdown in June of 2019. I'm a big fan of, just because you have PhD or MBA or a bunch of education or a general contractor's license or whatever your profession may be, medical doctor, we have to realize that wisdom is found in a multitude of counselors. So I wanted to share with you this legacy video, which shows that we're not vain. We didn't believe that we know everything. Seated here at the table are a number of professionals who have more than 20 years of experience in their respective trades. And our goal, with the help of Shaw University and Dr. Dillard and others, Mr. Tony Marshall, Mr. Merrill Holloway, Mr. Sean Oliver, um, Dr. Cecil McManus, that lady there is Miss Ava Gervais, Miss Kenneth Johnson, and the list goes on and on and on, Miss Tamisha Thomas, uh, and so many more. We sat down over a year and had several think tanks as to what solutions that we could bring to our community. Family, we really only have two choices: the problem road or the solution road. And a lot of times when we get paralyzed, we'll get paralyzed by the problem. So what I would challenge you to do is focus on the solution. No matter what the problems are that face us in life, always keep our eyes on the solution road. Here it suggests in Proverbs that where there's no counsel, the people fall. But in the multitude of counsel, there is safety. It also suggests in Proverbs that without counsel, people do fall. Oh, I guess it's two different translations. Let me see, Mr. Lee, if this legacy video would take place. Community, all of these videos that I'm sharing with you now, compliments of Too Much TV, are available on the on the YouTube channel at Too Much TV INC on YouTube. Compliments of Miss Tamisha Thomas, marketing savant, and as well as service learning projects done by the TMT Youth Community Foundation. And I have no idea. Mr. Lee, how am I doing on time? Okay. Let me try
Looks like
something.
you've got at least about another 10 or 15 minutes to go in the presentation. So if you just want to try to talk people through the videos, and I'm gonna see if I can't pull some up on my end as well. But you'll talk people through.
Well, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. So we looked here at the kickoff, and in this particular case, in this video, shows examples of communities come together. It shows examples of just excellent people within our community putting their mind share together to come up with great solutions. Out of the solution, one of the things we did do is we came up with a campaign called Buy, Fix Up, and Rebuild the Block. Buy, Fix Up, and Rebuild the Block. And what that campaign is, it's been over 18 months, 12 months in forming. The goal of the Buy, Fix Up the Block campaign is to establish, design, and build new age facilities in a commerce park benefiting community, encouraging private sector-led growth, connecting the targeted communities with much needed capital by leveraging funds listed with the Novogradic Opportunity Zones Resource Center. We see ourselves breaking ground on our campus in the first 30 months following 2019. So we are in the midst of doing that. And what we've been doing is, my son is a landscape architect, and he said, Dad, he said, if you only knew how much time that we spend getting a piece of land ready and putting the foundation and design ready before we even build. So my son encouraged me to be diligent. And sometimes when you have a vision that's larger than yourself, a lot of persons will look around you and say, hey, when is it coming? When is it coming? When is it coming? Um, this is, I had a client, St. Augustine's College, and this is a grant. When I had them as a client, here's St. Augustine's College as a press release. And right here, uh, I led a team and we secured a $765,000 economic development grant. It says this project demonstrates our commitment to social and economic development by creating programs that encourage business, academic, and public-private partnerships that are sustainable and relevant to the green economics of today. Dr. Alan Nubia, Executive Director of St. Augustine's Community College. So when we look at our colleges and we look at the brilliance, you know, if we borrowed a page from Kennedy, when Kennedy said, ask not what your country can do for you, instead ask what you can do for your country, we should say to our historically Black colleges and universities, not Shaw University, what can you do for me, but Shaw University, North Carolina A&T, North Carolina Central, and St. Augustine's College. What can we do as graduates? What can we do to come back and enhance the colleges that we have been fortunate enough to be represented in? Okay. So here is a couple of examples of some of our marching orders in terms of how we are looking to proceed. I'm going to go to a previous slide because I think I missed something. Let's see. Okay. Before leading into this slide, I said, learn, baby, learn. Intellectual intercourse, collegiate engagements. And one of the engagements that we've engaged with is Shaw University because they're right here in the capital city. Also, earn, baby, earn, looking at how we can create relationships in mechanical, in electrical, in plumbing, in the general contracting trades, to where we can create a shared services environment where we can create pit crews that support our small businesses. So our small businesses can focus on what they do best and not what it is that they may not do as well. Our marching orders here, this is a meeting. In the front there is Dr. Dillard. I'm going to take another stab at this, guys, and see if this video comes on board. But the three areas that we were focused on, we submitted a couple of grants. One of them, we did not receive the grants, but the grants did provide an excellent exercise for 10 to 30 people at various times to come together and talk about solutions that we needed in the community. The persons there represented nonprofits, they represented marketing specialists, operational specialists, financial specialists, and human resource specialists. And our focus was primarily in the four areas of economic development, which was land development, labor and workforce development, capital development in terms of tax credits, employee stock option plans, tax incremented financing, bond financing. You know, a lot of times there's a lot of contention when the bond comes because the communities or the businesses that wrote the bonds and lobbied the city had a 2-year to 3-year lead time. And so they came up with a value proposition and they went to the city of Raleigh or the city of Durham or the city of Reidsville or the city of Greensboro. And they said, hey, we are a group of developers. This is an idea we have based on the challenges and the growth opportunities that are in our community. And this is what we propose. And what they proposed, they passed it through the city council. And the city council said, you know what, your value proposition is good enough for us to put it to vote. And so a lot of times when those things are put to vote, they go to vote and the public decides, you know, is this $300 million bond? Wake County passed a $1 billion school bond the last couple of years. Or do we as a population agree with those bonds? One of the challenges that we have in our community is we represent a representative democracy. Therefore, if we as a community, if we represent 20% of the tax base, if we put 20% in, then we deserve 20% out. And it has nothing to do with the color of our skin or our ethnicity or our religious background, but it has everything to do that we as a community make the same investments as every other community. And when we see contracts and opportunities come around our community, We need to have our groups who can secure and lead community development block grant efforts. We need to secure opportunities through aggregation in the tax credit zones. We need to advocate 1031 exchanges so that an older person can sell their house in the suburb and move into a condo in the city and have excellent health care designed into the model. So here I'm gonna try this video one more time. Let's see. Maybe this is a backup plan. In the next email, and then you can hit the link and check your property or any other property you want to check.
Charlotte University has always been the bridge to Southeast Florida. And when we look at what's happening in the economic part of the city, and then we look at what's happening at us and the rest of Southeast Florida, then we have to be vigilant about what's going on. Now, I need the group to understand that we need to do some learning in a hurry. Because there are, you just heard about from Chris about the Churchill Fund. There are hundreds of these. Oh yeah, not just Churchill. I mean, UNC has one. And what happened in Charlotte, which I think would be an interesting model for us, is they invited those fundees to come to talk to, a group. And so now you got a whole bunch of people bidding for what is going on. The second thing that we have to understand, and because I'm an educator, I'm going to be talking about education, is that not only are we in opportunity zones, but our businesses in Southeast Florida are in hub zones. That's right. And we have 1,400 students that could be employees of a hub zone that also allows those businesses to participate in federal contracting. So there is so much economic information that we have been getting bits and pieces of. So every time somebody makes a presentation to me, I go, oh, that's interesting because I just talked to so-and-so. And this is what's happening. There are things that are coming this way to be Southeast Florida and this way. And right now, the value of that property in between Shaw University's 27 acres is worth so much money.
So a lot of times what we have to realize as a community is that, we have not in many cases because we ask not. And so we have to proceed to ask. So learn, baby, learn, as Dr. King said, is as businesses, we should engage our HBCUs and look at, don't criticize them for what they don't have, but look at the gifts God has for us in the homecoming and return to those colleges, those sacred halls, and then offer our services, offer our dollars in what we can do to make those institutions greater. This next video is an example of community organizing. And so I'm going to take this one here and I'm going to go here. This right here is an example of relationship building.
In Reedsville, North Carolina, with the team from NC 100, where their goal is to imagine that in terms of how we can buy, fix up, and rebuild the block. And these brilliant students here have shown us areas of Reedsville that they'd like to see built up. And then this what's called
So in this particular
somebody
video,
tell us about this area and what is it about this
we
area
see
that you
excellence in our
imagine that
children.
you would like to see fixed up. We will start one person at a time.
So today was pretty exciting. So one thing that I eventually would love to see the students do in conjunction with our interns and the rest of our staff and our board that tell these stories that have been happening here in Rockingham County. Some really great things happening. People doing really great nonprofit work, doing mission-focused work. They have authentic relationships with the people that institutions want to support. And I want them to be able to tell those stories from their perspective and let people kind of see like how they think about these stories and what's going on, and then be able to tell like a broader perspective, larger vision story about how an adult or business person might understand what's going on.
Learn a great deal about each other from our smartphones, tablets, and computers.
Okay, can someone tell me what is digital storytelling? Yes, my dad. Podcasts, commercials, video games, internet, YouTube, TikTok, what else? Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, social media. So all of those are things that people create, right? Do you see yourself? Have you ever seen yourself in one of those images? You know, that's what we're here to say.
And we're working on the Raleigh Boone Refill Initiative, and we created a campaign a little over a year ago where we focused on the block campaign, where we focused on 3 areas: buy back, fix up, and rebuild the block. We also came here in Refill and had the honor to meet Portia Parrish and Mr. Merrill Holloway, who happens to be the executive director of the NC 100, and we were talking about the block and the kids today that just said, listen, Dr. Hallelujah, I really have to show you something. I said, because we have a campaign called Imagine That, where we challenge the kids to use their imagination to envision what they want their community to look like. And they kept saying to me, Dr. Hallelujah, I have to show you the block. Now, it was ironic to me because the name of our campaign is the block. So we came through, walked through the cold, got all the way across the railroad track, got to the Refill Foundation, and they showed us this whole strip. You see all of this, okay? This whole strip, okay? All the way from that red building right there, down here, this is the African American Business District.
What would you like to see here?
I would like to see a place for the poor to sleep or eat.
I would like to see like.
I would like to have better restaurants, even though other places closed down.
I would like to see a Starbucks.
I would like to see a place for kids just to hang out.
Where you going, sir? Where you going, sir?
I would like to see more parks.
Ah, yes. Who else have we got?
I would like to see, stuff that was here back in the day rebuilt so, older people can get that on nostalgia.
Okay, wonderful. And how soon do you want the spaces built for the homeless people?
Next few months. There's a lot of them out there.
Okay, do you want to participate in the design?
It'd be nice.
Okay. Can you imagine yourself participating in the design? Okay. You? How about yourself? All right then.
So this next to the last video, our focus over the past 24 months has been a 7-step focus. Focus number 1 is we created a project management office and adopted a project charter. Our project charter aligns with Dr. King's directions to promote learning, promote earning, promote grassroots organizing and advocacy of financial economic literacy, and then to promote um, cultural. When I was doing research, I noticed that synonym for the word education was culture, and it
And
reminds me.
and Doc, and Doc,
Yes, sir.
Doc,
Yes, sir.
we are just about 3 minutes or 2 minutes away from the next speaker. I'm gonna have to have your other videos be shown the next time. We'll do it tomorrow. In closing, do you have a website and of course an email where people can reach you at?
I do. Um, the website. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, this website is buyfix.rebuild.com. Also have a website at NC, and I would invite you guys to, I don't know what that is, but I would invite you guys to uh, know what this is. I would
Just give it to us, and we will get back to the videos. Of course, sometimes the technical things happen like this. Okay. Now, Doc,
NC, yes, sir.
go ahead and spell it out for everybody.
The website is up now. It's NCASSOC1. NCASSOC1. I invite you to sign up for our newsletter. Right here under the section that says newsletter. If you would, you can go there and you can sign up for our newsletter and share it with a friend. Eric, the last video is only 1 minute long. So if I could close out with that video and concede the time there, that's what I would prefer to do if it's okay with you. Mr. Kelly. 10,000 people hit retirement age every day in the United States. And this trend will continue beyond 2029. Over the next 20 years, business owners will transfer over $10 trillion in assets currently held in 12 million privately owned businesses. This affects more than 2.3 million companies and 1 out of 6 workers nationwide, or greater than 25 million people.
They say it takes a village to raise a child. That's me, the child, Tanisha Thomas. And as a little girl, unlike most little girls, I dreamed of building community and having a voice in my community. So when I heard about the silver tsunami from Dr. Alanubia, founder of Network Commerce Association, I had to go check on my village chief, Huntley Batts Sr. I wanted to see if he could benefit from my recent purchase of a Roku station. After all, the future of mass communications would be the marriage of radio and OTT original content creation. Who said Hollywood had to be in California?
So, Mr. Kelly and community, I want to thank you very much, um, and we'll get it. We'll do it better next time.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. And you're right on time. We got the 8 o'clock guy ready, Grayson Marshall. Hey, Mr. Marshall, how you doing? Bring Mr. Marshall up so we can move on. Hey, doctor, how you doing?
Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
I can hear you.
Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
I can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hold on, let me see something. Hello? Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you very well. Can you hear me?
There we go. We're good now. Fantastic.
Hey, man, I'm looking in your background. I'm seeing that Clemson jersey up there. I know a couple of Clemson ball players back in the day. They was really nice.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
Well,
sir.
we're glad that you're here. We look forward to your presentation. Of
Thank
course,
you.
we'll give you a shout out in the end. I know you're going to do an awesome job. You know you have 40 minutes. You're probably going to have some questions in the end. Our audience is always looking for great information, and of course, I want to thank you for being on the show this evening. Okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, and you enjoy. Mark, let me
Thank
go,
you,
and I'll talk to you shortly. And with no further ado, I'd like to introduce to you all Grayson Marshall.
Thank you, sir. Are they going to play the intro? Good evening, everybody. I hope that you are fantastic. I am really excited to be here. Eric, Mark, if you're not going to play the intro, just let me know in the chat so I can keep this moving for the people here tonight. I hope that you're enjoying your Saturday night. My days getting mixed up. There we go.
And I specifically picked that because it has everything to do with understanding and awareness of how you think. When you can literally take the time to know why you think a certain way or why you do a certain thing, now you have the chance to change it yourself. The responsibility is on you and no more excuses.
Who is Grayson Marshall Jr.? Depending on who you ask, some will say he's a Clemson University Hall of Fame ACC legend as their all-time assist leader. Another will say he's a successful entrepreneur, franchise owner, and six-figure earning direct sales success story. While others will tell you he's a kingdom-minded DC native who serves as an inspirational leader and gifted keynote speaker. Though all of these answers are true, here's who he really is. Grayson Marshall Jr. is the coach of coaches, sought after by C-suite level executives, professional athletes, educators, servicemen and women, and youth to help shift both their personal and professional paradigms. Because he possesses a unique talent for getting you to believe in you, Grayson is what you call a metacognition expert, equipping you with the tools and techniques to help change your outlook on life and identify your passion. He also authored the book, Do Positive, Just Because, the keys to the life you always imagined. So who is Grayson Marshall Jr.? From the basketball court to the locker room, to the corporate executive suite, to the bookshelf, Grayson Marshall Jr. is your next keynote speaker.
Be here tonight speaking at the Black Expo. The Black Business Network. What an opportunity and exciting one. I'm going to tell you, I just spoke at a business conference this morning, and it was thoroughly exciting. Great people, an opportunity to share some unique and significant things with them. Now, we'll preface this by saying what I'm going to say to you will challenge you to think. Because here's what I know and believe. If I can change your thoughts, then I can change your beliefs. If I can change your beliefs, I can change your level of anticipation. If I can change your level of anticipation, I can change your attitude. If I can change your attitude, I can change your behavior. If I can change your behavior, I can change your performance. And if I can change your performance, I can change your life. But it all starts with the way you think. My favorite book says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. When we talk about community, we talk about how to improve ourselves economically. We often talk about business ventures, collaboration, all these things that collectively can decide to make a significant difference. But for me, the true essence of that, the background of that, the backbone, the foundation of that is rooted here in one thing, and that's you becoming the best you. Personal development is something that we tend not to focus on in the way we need to. We have been trained to get it done. We have been seduced into all of the effort coming from our work. And what we fail to understand is that there's a part of that that's responsible for you, but then there's another part that you have to walk out, and that is the faith part of it. I will not make any concessions or make excuses for that. It leads everything that I have. Faith is non-negotiable for me. So I was thinking about what I want to talk about tonight. I saw my book come up. I talked about something else this morning, but I think that I'm going to talk about 7 principles of really understanding what it takes to move this needle in an area of true understanding of potential, possibility, and passion. So I'm going to give you 7 keys to look at this, and it comes from my study of the Jewish culture. And really looking at them, what I really began to look in a nutshell was I looked at how they got together collectively pooled their resources, set a new standard, and out of that came these philosophical approaches to life that really shaped the way that they are. And I believe that if we grab a little bit of this and implement it into our lives, then we can really have a significant difference. As a Black community, our money is spent unlike anybody else's. We spend trillions of dollars a year. And really, we don't creatively spend those trillions of dollars. We habitually spend those trillions of dollars. We need to begin to understand how to leverage what we have as people, leverage what we have as a collective group. But we cannot do that if we don't fortify ourselves. Competition becomes an incredible disadvantage in economic settings because there is enough to go around. What we tend to do is not realize that that's the case. And because of that, we miss some of the critical and tangible parts of growing and developing us so that we can live, encourage, and empower the person next to us. So I'm going to give you these 7 keys. And after that, if there's any questions, I'll be more than happy to take them. But key number 1, understand that real wealth is portable. Real wealth is knowledge. What are we spending the time to get to know? The Bible says in Hosea 4:6 that my people are destroyed due to lack of knowledge. But I ask people oftentimes, do you know the next verse? Because it's the next verse that really defines or tells you why that first verse is so critical. It says, my people destroyed due to lack of knowledge. And the next verse says, because you have rejected the knowledge, I will reject you as my priest and I will forget your children. Understand that real wealth is portable. What we tend to not understand is that if we don't do this properly, negativity and poor information is portable as well. What I find about God and his intricate way of making and creating society and the laws that we live by is simply this. If it'll work positive, it'll work just as effectively negative. And because we are inundated by habitual streams of media narrative, we're inundated by specific teachings that don't allow us to be fully exposed to everything that we need to be. What's now portable is fear. What's now portable is inability. What's now portable is lack. And that's not where we need to be. Wealth is portable. When you look at generational wealth, you look at the philosophies, the understandings that are passed down. Here's how you do this. Here's how this is executed. Here's what you need to understand. But if we don't have that foundation of giving that, we will give back what we have. It is without question. You give what you have. So because we have not taken the time to really delve into ownership out of employee, we'd rather be the person working than the owner of the store. And it's indicative in our communities. You look at people from other countries that come into our country, do not make a deposit in our neighborhoods, yet take our money out. We've got to change that. And this is never going to be an indictment against anybody because I'm as for all as can be, but I have to understand us. What I'm talking about tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is the mindset that we have. The work ethic has never been a true problem. It's the mindset, not working and understanding how to get ahead. We wish to get ahead. We would love to get ahead, but it's not delving into the necessary information. So if we want to change the economics structure where we are, the knowledge first has to be obtained and then it has to be shared and given back, but remembering that it's portable. The residue that we continue to pull with us, the inefficiency at times that tends to be replete in our neighborhoods and in our culture is because of the information that's being poured out, not deciphered, not disseminated properly, and not received. So the first key for significant change and adjustment in our mindset is understanding that real wealth is portable and it's knowledge. Number 2, take care of your own and they will take care of you. Anytime I speak, my whole purpose is not to be asked back because I want to say some challenging things. I want to say some things that really make you think. And I want to say some things that will really get you to either decide to move forward or move on. But take care of your own and they will take care of you. That's been a hesitancy in Black business because there is a stigma, unfortunately, that has accompanied Black business. that has to be resolved, that has got to be changed. But in order to do that, we have to own our responsibility in it. Why is it common dialogue that Black businesses are less than efficient, late, not on time, produce a subpar product? And again, this isn't your product, preferably, but it is a stigma. And the reality of it is that if we decided to focus on money exchange within our community, Asians do it, Jewish do it, other people do it. But the reason we don't do it is because the stigma has literally frightened us from engaging that way. And so one of the things that has to change is we have to level up in our delivery, remove the stigma even from within our own culture. And then we have to take care of our own. We have got to decide to do that. Other communities, other groups of people keep the money within their community. And again, that's not to say you can't spend it somewhere else. But at the end of the day, if we want to change, shift, and move the economic structure, we have to change the mindset of the business owner that's there. You have to become efficient, proficient. You have to set a standard for your business and company that attracts people. So you attract who you are, not what you want. And people get into money, keep in the business to make money. And I remind them that money should never lead. Money should always follow. So doing what we do that from a philanthropic place, from the religious platform. We do a lot of giveaways. We do a lot of giving back to the community, but we're not giving them back what they need to prosper. We're not giving them back what they need to shine. We're not giving them back what they need to truly overcome. So we got to take care of our own. And that means giving them the right information, the right feedback, the right constructive criticism without writing them off. It's an application of true understanding of who they are, what they're trying to get done. There's a transparency, vulnerability, and authenticity that goes with that relationship, that interaction. That is only there for one reason, that's to be beneficial to them as a business, to me as a consumer, and to the community in its whole. That's number 2. Number 3, successful people are professional and entrepreneurs. And I'm going to talk about this at second word in just a second. But we have to be professional. I understand expression, personal preference. But in business, unfortunately, image is everything. Unfortunately, perception is reality. How are you handling your business? How does it look? It doesn't matter if it's fair. Fair is a 4-letter word that begins with F. At the end of the day, are you professional? Correct, Sandra. Thank you. Are you professional? That's a critical piece of this. Can I look at myself and be good and feel good about the work that I'm doing? This is what sets you apart. This is what creates who you are. And we look at some of the brands that are visible, that have done it with a spirit of excellence. Tyler Perry's done it with a spirit of excellence. Ice Cube has done it with a spirit of excellence. They've done those things. They've gone out. In the music industry, we've done it. We've done it in a lot of places. But we need to do it in our local communities. We need to do it at the quote-unquote mom and pop store. But think about that. Think about that acronym right there. Think about the description. Mom and pop doesn't sound as effective. Doesn't sound like it's leveling up. Doesn't sound like there's growth potential there. It sounds like it's finite. And we have to stop that limited thinking. Successful people, professionals, they're also entrepreneurs. Ecclesiastes 11:2 is a verse in the Bible. And if you've never read it, I encourage you to look at it. But Ecclesiastes 11:2 said this, that we should have 7 to 8 streams of income because you never know what might happen in the land. Now, unfortunately for us, the education system that we're taught teaches us 1 stream of income. And most of us struggle with that 1 stream of income because it's not our passion, because we were never taught to do that. So a true entrepreneur has multiple streams of income because you never know what can happen. But when you've been taught the other way, it's hard for you to even fathom that, conceptualize it. It makes it challenging. So you live well below your potential. I look at my board every day and I look at the 7 to 8 streams of income that I have. And they all don't have to be equal, but they all need to be positively flowing into your life. So successful people are professionals and they're entrepreneurs. Ask yourself, out of these first 3, are there any that you truly need to work on? Understanding that real wealth is portable, and that's knowledge. Have you taken the time to continue to grow your mind, grow who you are as an individual? Number 2, take care of your own and they will take care of you. Have you been reluctant to do business in your own community? Have you struggled with giving them that contract? Out of what they do, not out of who they look like, out of what they deliver. Because when you're in business, you want to pay the person who's going to deliver and do it the way you need to be done at the most effective rate. Number 3, successful people are professionals and entrepreneurs. Do you carry yourself professionally? These are questions you need to ask yourself. But these are 3 of the 7 keys, as I continue, of the foundation of shifting your economic mind and the economic outcome. Number 4, develop your verbal confidence. Part of you building your small business, part of you engaging and growing that business is letting people know what you have and how it can benefit them. Are you truly comfortable and confident in delivering that message? Are you unashamedly convinced that what you have is the best in the world? And are you willing to do that? I've said for years, I want to be one of the most inspirational speakers in the world, one of the most sought after inspirational speakers in the world. That's what I said a long time ago. And I continue to work at it every single day. But here's what held me back for a number of years: self-promotion. Because I bought into the fact that self-promotion was ego-driven. It was selfish. And the reality of it is that unless you tell somebody what you have, how well you do it, and how you can bring it to the table, nobody's buying it. When you open a business, if you do not market it, if you do not get it in front of the buying audience, if you do not make sure that people know that you're open, you're doomed to fail. And I struggled for a number of years, and I wrestled with that from a biblical standpoint until I found some support in the Bible. Galatians 6 talks about a pastor, teacher, or leader is worthy financially of what they deliver. When you deliver something, there should be compensation for it. So I had to shift my mind there because I hesitated on promoting myself. Now I could promote you all day long. I could talk to people about how your gifting was and really let them know that you could be a benefit and a blessing. But it was a challenge for me. So here's the deal. If you have a business and you don't let people know what you're doing, don't be frustrated when sales don't grow. Don't be frustrated when expansion is not in the potential future. People have to know what you do. So develop your verbal confidence. Are you comfortable talking to people about what you do? Whoa, excuse me, guys. Are you fully persuaded? Are you willing to do it alone? Because remember this, isolation before elevation. Are you willing to do this thing without anybody's help, support? Are you so convinced that what you have is the best thing in the world? And who are you talking to about it? Who's your sounding board? Are they eloquent? Are they articulate? Your verbal confidence. What is that? Can you express? Can someone, after having met you, know exactly what it is you do, how well you do it, and why they should spend money to hire you to do it or engage in a barter system with you to improve their business or yours? If not, this is an area you have to work on. Developing your verbal confidence. My mother is a preacher. My mother was a principal. My dad was a teacher. My sister's the head of online education for the Department of Defense. And one of the things my mother reiterated to me over and over again was the fact that I needed to be able to speak. How are you going to influence a generation? How are you going to be able to influence people? How are you going to be able to move the needle in your own career if you can't open your mouth? How can you ask for something if you're afraid to open your mouth? How can you say no if you're afraid they'll be wrong. Because the most powerful word in the English language is a 2-letter word, and that's the word no. Because not everything is for you. Not everything is supposed to be for you. You're not supposed to do everything, but you cannot say N-O with authority, power, or purpose unless you K-N-O-W who you are. You can't say N-O until you K-N-O-W who you are. That comes with confidence. I got to know who I am. The Bible says we're fearfully and wonderfully made. Genesis 1:26 says we're made in the image and likeness of God. Perfection, royalty, above. That confidence right there should allow you to speak in an incredible way, in an influential way that will sometimes offend people. But that's not your ish, that's theirs. K-N-O-W who you are, and you'll say no to everything that's not moving your desire, purpose forward. That's number 4. Number 5, be selectively extravagant, but prudently frugal. Be selectively extravagant, but prudently frugal. It's amazing when I look at a lot of young people, and I mentor a lot of young people, do a lot of prison ministry. I talk to them about their future, what they want to be. And what I found is a common theme is symbolism over substance. They want to look it instead of have it. We'd rather be the player than the owner. I shared with them today that in 2009, all the professional sports were governed by a commissioner. And in baseball, it was a man named Bud Selig. In football, it was a man named Paul Tagliabue. In hockey, it was a guy named Gary Bettman. Baseball, football, basketball. And basketball was a guy named David Stern. The WNBA, which is the first women's professional franchise outside of any sort of soccer, was run by a woman named Donna Orander, who's a very good friend of mine. The one thing those 5 people have in common is that they were all Jewish. I look at 14 of the NBA teams are owned by Jewish Americans. 14 to 15 NFL teams are owned by Jewish Americans. One of the most controversial rap groups in the 1980s was a group called NWA, Beat with Attitudes. And they were run by a guy named Jerry Heller, actually a Jewish guy. The most syndicated and profitable sitcom of all time is Seinfeld. You can guess. Yeah, Jewish. Hollywood, everywhere. What we do, the Jewish Loan Society, banks, they are that. Why do we not have those? They took an approach to life, be selectively extravagant and prudently frugal. I don't need the nice stuff. I want to own the stuff. I'll spend where I need to spend. I'll spend where I want to spend. But I'd rather be strategic with my money. I'd rather own than be the employee. I'd rather own than be the player. This is where we have to get to an understanding of. But I know communities, I know groups of people that rather have symbolism over substance. I told them one day on a podcast, I said, if I took the top 100 black NFL players, top 100 black basketball players, top 100 black baseball players, pulled their money together, took the top 100 MMA or boxers in the world, Floyd Mayweather and those guys, and I pulled their money, I'd have close to $100 billion. What could I do putting that into the right financial vehicle where we could allow money to be loaned after being taught how to handle and run businesses and create a steady stream of wealth from a banking perspective, teaching folks how to do things where they could create residual lifetime income for communities, better than better people using the money that they use. But no, they'd rather have 25 cars, 35 cars. I'm not knocking the hustle, but symbolism over substance can cripple a generation. So don't tell me about what you believe about certain lives that matter or don't matter, or that whole philosophical approach, because to me it's just lip service. Because you have the wherewithal, the resources, and the capacity to do it. But going back to number 2, take care of your own and we'll take care of you. We don't follow that philosophy like other folks do. Number 6, celebrate individuality, encourage creativity. One of the things we're taught is to be seen and not heard. When we're little, we're asked what we want to be when we grow up, and we are steered towards certain professions. Whether it's based on where we come from culturally, whether it's based on what we think is nice to do, which one we think makes more money, is how we're driven, how we're led. But when are we going to allow people to be creative? Why don't we ask them what you love to do and teach them how to monetize their passion? We don't do that. We remove them from that passion unless it happens to be in music, entertainment, or sports. If we realize that your gift will make room for you and put you before great men, if you understand that if I take your gifting, utilize your gifting, show you your gifting, that you can monetize it and be in your passion every single day of your life. You were born an original. Why would you want to die a copy? We need to celebrate the individuality. Encourage creativity. I've heard this statement said so many times, and I think it's one of the most restrictive statements that we've ever said colloquially, and that is, think outside the box. But what I look at when I look at that statement is the only thing that seems to resonate with me is that you are admitting that you're in a box. That means I am bound. I'm limited. Why do we think like there is no box? Why would you put a limit on a God that has no limits? Why would you do that? Isn't it amazing we struggle with becoming who we are? Because being the highest form of nature, we were given choice to be able to change or make decisions. But what about nature itself? Isn't it amazing that a tree can maximize itself as a tree because that's all he has to be when he wakes up every day? A bird doesn't desire to be an elephant. An elephant doesn't decide to be a crocodile or a tree. They do what they do. However, we tend to measure ourselves against other people. We tend to be critical because we're not where we think we should be, where we need to be, where somebody told us we should be, where we might be, where our educational investment should have taken us, and it may not have. Nature maintains its individuality. Why? Because that's all it can do. When we're given so many options, we tend to get lost in the choices. But what if we really got focused? What if our passions were identified early? Our creativity was encouraged, and we could literally wake up daily, every day, and do exactly what you were called to do. What an amazing life it would be. And the leverage it would create, because the more you do what you love to do, the more faith that you have. The more faith that you have, the more you attract. The more you attract, the more you have. The more you have, the more you give away. That's the way the philosophy should work. Number 7, have something to prove, a drive to succeed. One of the things that I did for so long, and I still do it today, is I like to prove people wrong. My jerseys sit behind me, and I was fortunate enough to play at a prestigious university. Best basketball conference in the country was the Atlantic Coast Conference, and I broke records there that will never be broken. But so many people told me I was playing over my head. So many people told me that I wasn't ready to play there. So many people told me that I couldn't play there. I'm just glad I don't listen to people. I always have something to prove. I didn't want to prove it with a chip on my shoulder, but I wanted to prove it to me. And again, whether they recognize it or not, it was a driving force for me. A drive to succeed. But here's what I did realize. I couldn't make excuses. I shared this with a group of pastors the other day in a podcast, and they were talking about the situation racially in the world today. And they were talking about the responsibility of white America to apologize or take ownership for what they did. And my comment to them was this. I don't know many of my white friends who had slaves. I know many of my white friends who beat people. I don't many of them to do that. So it's kind of hard for me to ask them to do that, because if I take them to the scripture, 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 4, it says, love is patient, love is kind, love does not envy, love is slow to anger, love does not boast. But it says this, it said, love keeps no record of wrongdoings. If we're constantly looking at back what happened in the past, then I'm going to tell you that we're keeping records of wrongdoings. And don't argue with me, argue with Paul. And the more you keep records of wrongdoing, you're not operating in love. So we cannot get past the one and implement the one caveat that represents God in the earth, which is love. So because we don't have love, then we can't express and literally live into these 7 things I just gave you. See, without love, it's hard to understand that knowledge is important and that's portable, because now I'm in competition and I'm concerned. Without love, I don't have the capacity to want to take care of somebody else. So then they can't take care of me. If I don't have love, then I'm not caring about myself because I don't have any self-love. And so I can't walk in the true essence of who I am. If I don't have love for myself, then the verbal confidence to do that without ego, arrogance, or overstating who I am is truly impossible. If I don't have love, I cannot be selectively extravagant to be able to embrace what I have, and imprudently frugal, which is being a good steward over what I have. So if I don't have love, that can't happen. If I don't have love, I can't celebrate my individuality and encourage my creativity, because that right there is me giving back what God has given me. And if I don't have love, then I really run the risk of letting God down, because I love him enough, I thank him enough for what he's given me, that I have that opportunity like never before. So when I look at these 7 keys, these seven opportunity principles here, these 7 enigmatic changes that you can make in your life. You want to change your community? You want to change the state of business? You want to make life a little bit different? Then this is what you have the capacity to do. But it just takes implementation and application. It doesn't take talk. I'm realizing this is day 6 of the Expo, and 6 is the biblical number of man. And I'm glad to be speaking on day 6 because I'm talking about changing the man or the woman, truly giving them an opportunity to see how this picture is bigger. Stop thinking small. Why are we doing that? Think in abundance. Think more than. For some people, that's a stretch. For some people, the capacity to think differently is limited by their association. Who are you hanging around? Who's challenging you? Who's lifting you up? Who's growing you? All these components, all these elements are the key critical pieces to us becoming who we are. Because at the end of the day, did you do everything you were here to do? Or are you carrying so much emotional baggage? Are you so moved by emotion that you can't even operate in your own individuality? I truly, truly love every opportunity I have to share, empower, inspire, challenge people I get an audience with. So I have to say stuff that really pokes you a little bit. I have to say stuff that challenges you. This is important to me because you're not going to get any better. See, I don't worry about how people feel about me. And I said before, when I go to speak not to be asked back. I want to challenge that room so much that it makes them uncomfortable. Because if they're uncomfortable, they've gone into the first phase of becoming who they're supposed to be. Comfortable is the enemy of success. And good is the enemy of great. Stop living to be average. Stop living to just get by. And it starts here. That's why they call me the metacognition maven. Metacognition, by definition, means the understanding and awareness of how you think. How do you think about your current situation? The state of the world that we're in right now. I've realized this below. No man, I don't care whether it's Joe Biden or Donald Trump, can fix the problem that the world exists. Can't do it. So why am I waiting on them? Why do I campaign for them harder than I do for Jesus Christ, the one who can fix my life? It's amazing where we put our efforts and our enthusiasm. It's amazing where we put our priorities. But if you change that, if you grab these 7 principles, if the result of all of what you do every day is love, the concept of success is openly afforded to you. The concept of success, the mindset of success is the ultimate end. You cannot be anything but successful. So I'll run by these 7 principles one last time. Understanding that real wealth is portable. It's knowledge. That's where the money is. You gotta know some things. It's been said, it's not who you know, is not what you know, it's who you know. Who you know is there, but when you get there to stay there, you better know something. So knowledge is portable. You can take that with you. They can't take it from you. Number two, take care of your own and they will take care of you. Start trusting the vulnerability in your life and start trusting the God that's directing your steps. Stop worrying about people. Worry about your purpose and your passion. Number three, successful people are professional and entrepreneurs. Level up. If you want to be a billionaire, walk like one. You want to be a millionaire, start acting like one. Number four, develop the verbal confidence. Let someone know after they've met you why you're significantly different, why you're better, and why you should be the person they do business with. Will you scare some? Yeah, but they're not the ones. Number five, be selectively extravagant and prudently frugal. You can spend your money, but you don't need 45 cars. You need that to reinvest. You need that to give back. You need that to help someone lift it up. The Bible says in the book of Luke, it says, Jesus told Peter, the enemy desires to sift you as wheat. He said, but I pray that your faith fail you not. And when you be lifted up, reach back and strengthen brethren. Stop trying to drag people with you as you're going. Go get there first and then show them how. Use the Harriet Tubman model. She didn't drag people with her because doubters would have not gotten her to freedom. You go get free first and then come back. And the ones that want to be free, those are your people. Not the ones you think you're supposed to free. Number six, celebrate your individuality and encourage creativity. You are an original. Be that. No one else can be you but you. And number seven, have something to prove. Have a drive to succeed. There's an opportunity for you in this whole world to do what you do. Your assignment is personal. Your assignment is distinctive. It is yours and yours only. You should choose to accept it. We need you. We need that assignment. We need you to be who you were born to be. I'll leave you with this as I part, or I open it for questions. Today, I'll touch 1,000 lives before the day is done. Leave countless marks of goods and ill or set the evening sun. This is my wish. I always wish, my prayer I always pray. Lord, let my life touch 1,000 lives before I'm called away. I negotiated with life for a penny, and I found out to my dismay that whatever wage I would have asked life for, life would surely have paid. There once was a very cautious man who never laughed or played. He never tried. He never took a risk. He never sang or prayed. And then one day that man, he died. His life insurance was denied. Because they said he never lived, they claimed he never died. The reality of it is you only have one chance at this thing. Make the most of it. This is an opportunity like never before. Understanding the mindset, understanding what's necessary, and fixing what has been hindering you. My name is Grayson Marshall Jr. I am the metacognition maven. I'm the guy that gets you to believe in you. Question is, who are your personal inspirations? If you're talking about people, obviously my background and my basis is biblical foundation. So obviously the person of Jesus. But when I look at the natural, I have a myriad of them. I look at people that have gone against the grain, done what they said could not be done, swum upstream, spoke truth to power. I think those things are, and people, so anybody that does that, and I've seen young people that do that, 14-year-olds that inspire me. I've seen 10-year-olds that inspire me, and I've seen 70-year-old people that inspire me. So I think the opportunity is to look at the value that they bring. Everybody has significance, and that can significantly impact you. So I don't truly have a one-person mentor. Bishop Vaughn McLaughlin at the Potter's House International Ministries in Jacksonville was very, very influential in my life. Obviously, my parents, my sister, my family is very influential. And there's a lot of people that in my life speak to different parts of my life. Sharpen me, like Proverbs says, iron sharpens iron. But that's what that is. I saw the question is, why do you support the Black Expo? Because I think that there is an influential mindset that we can have. I didn't see that last question. The influential power that we can have, and in particular, why do you support the scholarship efforts? And in particular, what we have with the Black Expo is a way for us to give back. I think people, unfortunately, need or desire places to give back. I think scholarships are important. That was the question, because I think when we look at the command and demand we should put on higher education, we talked about knowledge is portable. Scholarships give you access to those doors. They give you access into a different world. We got to go embrace that information, utilize it, take that information and grow from it. So when we can scholarship people into those venues, teach them how to use, how to network, not just to go to class, but build relational basis with so many different people, because you never know who's going to be where at the end of the day. So scholarship and giving them a leg up. I had a scholarship for sports. My skill set gave me the ability to get a free education. And I made sure I didn't limit that education. I made sure that I expanded it outside of the classroom, whether it's socially, whether it's economically, whether it's experientially. I had to do some things, and that's important. So to give someone an opportunity that might not have it is what I want there. What was your changing point for each level you've mastered, and would you have changed anything you've done? The changing point was my willingness to see that something wasn't working. Everybody has significant life experiences. I call them LCE, life-changing experiences. I was homeless at 28 years old. I built business after business. I was a 20-year marriage and ended in divorce. There's a lot of things that have happened in my life that have significantly structured who I am today. So I can't point at one. I think I am a collective. Hold on. How do we get more athletes involved? Okay, I'm coming out. I'm a collective sum of all of the things that have happened into my life. So I count them all as good. Romans 8:28 says, all things, not some, not a few, not a couple, work together for my good, for them that love God and those that are called according to his purpose. So I just trace the hand of God in my life. And I look at where I've gotten to, and there's no way that I could have written that script, incorporated those people at a certain time in this way to bring me here. So that's why the process is so important. One thing I tell people is that life should be lived in the meantime. Live life in the meantime. And that's what's important to me. So that's the way I live it. The question was, how do we get more athletes involved in the community? I think what we have to do is really teach them the same thing. Just because their economic success is far superior than the average person, they still don't have the wherewithal or understanding of what to do with their money. 9 out of 10 pro football players 2 years removed from the sport have been through bankruptcy, divorce, or the imprisoned. That's why my book, Your Second Half, and one of the things that I specialize in is athletes transitioning out of sports, teaching them what to do with their money, teaching them how to position themselves for life after sports. You get them involved by letting them know that just giving back and renaming a local community center is not giving back. But they can't give back what they don't have. That's why it's so important for them to really embrace this same philosophy, these same 7 principles they have to take, because there's no economic status that says this is over, it doesn't work. Consistently growing, becoming more every single day is required by everybody. So we have to get them involved, remove the ego, take away the mantle of notoriety that they have, and really bring them down to earth and say, here's where we need you. This is where you have been given an advantage. Give back, not just in theory, not just in look, but in depth. That's what's important. What do you see black business? What do you see black businesses headed in the 21st century? Well, I think that all depends on where we are governmentally. I think that depending on how the world moves forward, there's different philosophies that are there. Here's what I do. I don't look at the philosophies. I look at here. You ride until it ends. And here's what I mean by that. There's an opportunity, go get it. During this pandemic, I pivoted. I have 8 companies and I pivoted and went into the PPE business and was able to create a biocidal mask that actually kills 99.9% of viruses. And I just did a huge contract with Amazon. There's some other things that I did in that space that have afforded me the opportunity to create financial wealth. So there. So either there's an opportunity or an obstacle. And I look at everything that happens as an opportunity. Where's the win? And I'm going to go find the win. Do you think we should research women? Do you think we should research management in non-traditional sports for us, like hockey and soccer? Do you think we should research management? Yes, no question. There's no 2 ways about it. But I think it's something that we have to come up with. And again, we have to have the philosophy of ownership. That's never something that we aspire to be because it's never presented to us. Owners are never presented. It's become that player. Why? Because who's popularized and who's in the face is the player themselves. That's who you look at. So you want to be that player. Most of the owners are sight unseen. We don't see the owners. You don't even know who they are. A lot of them are ownership groups, conglomerates. So we don't know who they are. But if we actually began to instill in the young people, don't just be a player, what is it going to take to be the owner? Every sport, everything should have our signature on it. We should have access in all those doors. So yes, I totally agree in those sports for sure. How do you bring Black people together? We have to get away from our interracial differences. I share people all the time. I was born in 1966, and in 1972, it was the first time I experienced racism, and it was not from white America. It was because my pigment, my melanin was darker than some of the other people, and I got picked on within my own culture, my own race. So the challenges that still exist there are a major problem. I will say this about Black America. Black America is the only indigenous group of people that were taken from their homeland, oppressed in a land, freed in that same land, which creates an umbrella of dismay because the stigma still exists. What I want you to understand is that it's not about bringing Black people together. It's about bringing people together who happen to be Black, because it's about love. When I look at love, I can't look at color. Color can't be greater than Christ. It can't be. So I got to bring people together. And if we get rid of the interracial tension that we have, and if we get where we're lifting up, edifying, I really don't understand how we can say we care about Black people when we let our young men walk around with their pants hanging down. I don't understand how we can say that we care about that when we still have major issues of Black on Black crime. We got to do something within ourselves first. Again, when I look at the Jewish population, if you police your own, you can produce better in your own. So we got to lift up the standard of who we are. We have to remove all of the negative stereotypes, stop modeling them for people, and move the needle in a different direction. Then I know the collaborative effort, the literal synergy that can be taken in the Black community to raise it up, and not to be separate, but to be significant. Because we don't compete with anybody else. You shouldn't. Because you're amazing people. And there's no reason you shouldn't thrive. There's no reason you shouldn't stand ahead of, and there's no reason you shouldn't walk proud. There's no two ways about it. Any other questions?
Great job, man. Great job. Very motivating. You did an awesome job.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
You know, I was sitting here listening to you, and I think the last point that you made was really great. You might want to answer this last question.
There have been teams sold in the past. You believe there's an opening for more African-Americans? No two ways about it. But again, we don't think that way. There's no way that the money that the guys make today, if they got together,
there you go,
as an ownership group, there's no way you can't tell me the $100 million guys in the NBA can't put billions of dollars together. You could take Carmelo, LeBron, Magic, and I give you two more. They can own whatever they want to. That's not the mindset.
That's right.
And until we do that, again, I watch the music industry, and I've watched what Jay-Z has done. And I'm not necessarily fans of them as people, but I watch what they've done. Jay-Z, Drake, Ice Cube, even Lil Wayne. They found that the money is behind the scenes, not in front of the mic.
There you go. There you go.
That's where the money is.
That's right.
Producing. Babyface found it out. And again, all of that wasn't ethical at times because they didn't do some folk right, but they did understand. Even going back to Sam Cooke. Sam Cooke understood back in the day, we need our own record label.
That's right.
Barry Gordy did the same thing.
Ray Charles.
We have to have more models of people that want to own, but to whom much is given, much is required. There is a different level of integrity and character that you have to maintain as an owner. It's often excused as an entertainer. It's often excused as an athlete. It can't be tolerated as an owner.
That's right.
So we have to level up, get to a different level, and there's no way we do. Tyler Perry proved to you what it's like to be the owner. Oprah proved to you what it's like when you're the owner. It's a different mentality. And they've all reached back. Tyler Perry has done well at giving so many black actors and actors their first roles, putting them in somewhere, and that's only elevated them and catapulted them to different places. But somebody's got to be the pioneer. But are you willing to live in your car to be the pioneer? Are you willing to dress up like a woman and do stage plays for years to be the pioneer? See, a lot of people aren't willing to do that, and they want to ridicule him for it. But he wasn't worried about that. He was worried about the agenda, the drive, and the mission.
And you know the difference between what Tyler Perry did in putting that dress on, it was his choice and not somebody else's choice for him to put that dress on. And that's the thing that nobody looks at when they start talking about him or even looking at him in the same way that he looks at a guy who walks in a trailer and his boss says, I want you to wear a dress. That's an entirely different kind of mindset.
No question. And we go back to, he had to look at it from before. Flip Wilson did it with Geraldine. There was so much, you know what I'm saying? So there was a place for it, but Flip Wilson only took it this far. Tyler Perry said, I'm taking it this far. And what did he do? He got into different associations. Oprah Winfrey made him look at something a little bit bigger than what he was. It says, I feel like Galatians 5, 1 and 15 is being ignored. Do you feel that it will change in the near future rather than later? It will change when you decide it will change. But here's what I will tell you. There's two things that I've implemented in my life that have changed my life, and I guarantee it'll change yours right now. And number one is no emotional attachment to any outcome. And number two is no time frame for things to happen. In order for things to change, you must change. And what I realize is that whenever I put time on anything,
there you go.
The emotion that's released is restrictive, anxiety, frustration, doubt, and fear. Every emotional component that is counteractive and intuitive to my faith walk. So all I have to do is begin. It'll happen when it's supposed to happen. When your commitment level is greater than your quit level. When your faith level is greater than your fear level. When your love level is greater than your hate level, he'll do that thing almost instantly. But are you willing to shape those, change those, shift those, and commit to those? That's the key.
And you know what you're saying? The reason I'm nodding my head is because, you know, a lot of times people don't listen. They don't hear. They want to talk, but they don't hear. And the things that you're saying right now is things that people need to hear. One of the reasons that we're doing a 24-hour network is because for people like you who can come and share your voice with the masses with unadulterated conversation. Nobody's going to say to you, hey, man, I don't want you to say that because it might ruffle some feathers. This is what we do not have. And what gets to me is when you don't have something and you open it up for everybody, people want to push back. They don't want to go down that lane. But I tell people all the time what my great grandfather says to me all the time. It takes the same amount of time to be a failure as it does to be successful.
Be success. Amen. Amen.
Any parting words, man? I could sit up here with you all evening, man, because you rocking and rolling. And
thank you.
We'd love to have you back again next year, maybe to be on our stage, because you're bringing something powerful to the plate. I think one of the things that happens in a place like a Durham or a Raleigh or in an area when you don't know everybody and then you meet people who are amazing and on their walk, you got to let them know that you see them and that you appreciate them and you look forward to hearing them again. Now, I'm sure you have a website. I'm sure you have an email. Give that to the people because I'm sure they need it.
GraysonMarshallJR.com is my website. My email is Grayson@GraysonMarshallJR.com. One thing I love about marketing is to keep it simple. And again, I said earlier, the tough part about it for me was marketing myself. So all my websites before were my book names or my brand name. Now it's my name. I'm like the Dove commercial now. I'm comfortable in my own skin.
There you go.
So it's a new thing for me, and I don't mind transparently sharing that because I know a lot of people struggle with that. Because affirmation and acknowledgement is something that we desire from when we're little kids. When they put the star on your plate or when they put the sticker on it, we want that. And if we don't get it, we don't think we're doing what we need to do.
Well, the Yep. The reason that we do the Black Business Expo is to raise scholarships for kids, and we work at giving out 10 scholarships, up to $5,000, and laptop computers. My question, it can be a pardon question, a thought question, either way. You know, why do we as a group of people, when people are giving to our youth, always push back on the people who are giving to our youth?
Because I think, because here's the deal. A slavery mindset doesn't want to see people leave the plantation.
Mm.
When you give somebody a hand up or a help up, here's what happens. You give them an opportunity, and I share with people this. You have an opportunity, equal opportunity, not equal outcome. We want equal outcome. You get an equal opportunity. And some people who have been denied, didn't want to look at, didn't appreciate, weren't open to an opportunity, don't want to see you take it. Because now you be leaving me
behind.
Correct. And here's reality. I'm going to, because if I'm destined to be somewhere else and you're not willing to go, you're not my people. Jesus said this, who's my brother, who's my sister? Except them that love on the Lord. Had nothing to do with blood. Had everything to do with a mindset and a heart set. That's the reality. So here's reality too. Remember this. You're always going to get pushback when you're going after change. Because people don't want change. And here's what the true challenge is. Change is the only constant that you can count on the world. It's 8:57 now. It's going to be 8:58 in just a second. Ain't nothing we can do about it.
Period.
Today's Saturday. Tomorrow's going to be Sunday. Ain't nothing we can do about it. The weather's going to change. Season's going to change. Everything's going to change. But we resist the one thing that's constant in our lives. When you embrace change, you now flow with the ebb of nature. You now flow in the whole process of who God is, and you live a life of flow and not resistance.
Well, you know, I'm having a great time. Like I said, I could go on and on and on. You're doing a great job. We at the Black Business Expo want to thank you for taking out some of your hard-earned time.
I appreciate
your time is just as valuable as every speaker that we had on, but you really crystallized a lot of things this evening. I really wish people would have had a chance during the day part of our show to hear you speak. And like I said, I'd love to have you back again, because at the end of the day, our voices need to be heard. Not all of the superstar voices with all the money, but people who, like you said earlier, you was homeless at one time, but homelessness was not in your heart and in your soul. Homelessness was just a situation, a bump in the road, and look at you now. And so what I like for you to say, talk about before you get out of here, what do you say to that young person, you know, who just happened to stumble on this call? You know, he has his phone up. You know, he's out there in the street. He's getting ready to do what he don't want to do, but he's looking at survival. He's not looking at consequences. He's looking at survival. What do you say to that young person? Because at the end of the day, for me, that's all it's about. People want to talk about this or talk about that, but at the end of the day, if I can't change a child's life, then I don't see no need to be changing anything.
I have four children. I have four grandchildren. And what I would say to that person right now is nothing's by accident. If you stumble on this, there's a reason. If you understand life, you're living because you're not finished. That's all. So how do you want to continue to live? Because you're not going to believe here until it's finished. So if you want to thrive, find people that will help you. Pick up the phone. The one reservation that we usually have is our inability to ask. The Bible says you have not because you ask not. And there's no prerequisite for that. So we have to get folk, but here's the deal. What stigmatizes them is they look at people like them who don't want to help them, want to talk down to them and look down at them. That's why I said the inner racial challenges that we have are so detrimental.
Yes.
And that's what we have to clean this up for our own folks. Stop seeing obstacles and see opportunities. A rising tide raises all ships. I will leave you with this parting thought right here. There are 4 frogs on the wall. 3 desire to jump off. How many frogs are still on the wall? Most people answer one. I'll tell you four because the other three only desired to jump off. They didn't jump off. We got to jump off. You're not committed till you jump off the cliff. Activity application is what it takes. We don't talk about it, be about it. And we have to change those things.
Well, with that being said, we want to thank you so very much. And, we're going to be doing another one of these with younger people. I got a phone call from a group of 21 and younger kids who said that, we saw all them old people. This is what they said. We saw all them old people on your show. As a matter of fact, it was my son. My son pulled me to the side and said, and was saying, we saw all them old people on the show. Where the young people at? And I said to him, they are waiting to be where we are, and we have to open that door for them, because so many times people don't open the door for them, and then we push that young against the old and say we're gonna have a young people's edition. And I said, no, we're gonna have another black business edition and allow you young people to do what y'all do very well.
And here's what they have to understand too. We didn't get old for no reason. So the reality is, you want it quick. See, part of the next generation's entitlement is I can have it tomorrow. That's not how success is.
That's right.
So you have to learn from them that have done that. And if you will take what we know and apply it now you can be 28 speaking to that audience because you've done it. So that's what they have to do. The ability to relate to everybody. Paul said, be all things to all men that you might win some. I spend a lot of time talking to the age of 13 to 24. And I speak to them the same way.
That's right.
Because I challenge them now. Because I have to challenge the narrative in the media. I have to challenge the entitlement of the internet. I have to challenge the misconception of concepts that have now become mainstream to them, that are in opposition to their full success.
There you go.
So I got to speak truth to power.
And what you're saying is so true, because I tell young people this, during the civil rights movement, my parents, and I'm 64, my parents said, go and get a job. Go to school, get educated, and get a job. Okay, they were our leaders. We followed what they said do. We went to school, and while we was going to school, we allowed the media to paint the picture and the narrative of our young people. So once we got out of school and we did that job for 6 or 7 years, when we walk down the street, we're afraid of our own. Not because there is fear there, but because we're looking at it through the lens of somebody else's. And I tell people all the time, when I ran Kelly Worldwide downtown Durham, I would always grab somebody young and say, I know you can't afford that $185 I charge an hour, but you're gonna be a great business owner. I said, you can pay me when you get there, or you don't have to pay me when you get there, because at the end of the day, I'm gonna make enough money for my family to survive. Your family needs to survive, and we don't get enough of us looking at each other as family. That says it have 13 grandchildren. I'm surely going to share these days of service with them. Thank you, Dr. Kelly. They are. Anyway, thank you, Miss Lucky. Miss Lucky has been with us for the whole week, man. I don't know if you had a chance to
I did listen to it.
Yeah, the whole week. But she's been with us. We got some people out there who've been with us the whole week. But I wanted to get back to what I was saying. We have to understand that when Black Lives Matter shows up, they're showing up because people like myself didn't do the work. Now, once we get to being at this age, we need to help them continue to do the work by utilizing our finances, as opposed to utilizing criticism for them doing the work that maybe we didn't do.
And understanding what the true end game is. I think that we need to do that. We can't get caught up emotionally on a mindset and a movement if the mindset of the movement is wrong.
That's right.
We need to love ourselves in it, but don't get hijacked by that if the bottom line isn't about where we should be.
And you're saying what I've always said, that at the end of the day, there was no knee on anybody else's neck but ours.
Correct.
And at the end of the day, while we are not marching to find ourselves, because to kind of cleanse ourselves from the ilks that we do have and come together and look at a way for us as a people. And I know you said no black people or white people, but we still got us that we need to get ourselves together so that we can move forward.
Correct. There's no doubt. And what I meant by that was we tend to use that as an excuse for not getting ahead.
There you go.
I'm saying take that excuse off the table. Go get ahead. I told people this. I said, and here's what I'll leave you with this. In that conversation I had with some pastors, I said this to them. I said, if you still need validation from white America, then you still have a slave mentality.
Without a doubt.
I don't need them to validate anything I do. Oh, he said we're not wrapping up. I'm sorry, Mark. I'm sorry, Mark.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. This is my show, dog. It's my show. We'll wrap it up because the reason Mark wants to wrap it up is because it's 24-hour show. And what we do is we run it directly on time so that we can run it back again. But again, like I said, we'll have you back. Thank you for that, Mark. Just wrap it up.
Well, honestly, the invitation, if it's extended, I would love to come and speak. I appreciate this opportunity, Dr. Kelly, and anything I can do to help, let me know.
Okay, thank you so very much. And you've been watching Black Business TV, the TV show that informs you, that educates you, and more important, that embraces you as a black person, embraces you as a business owner. And we do this each and every day. 24-hour network here for you. Your voice needs to be heard. You can have your voice heard here. You have Eric Kelly III from the south side of Durham, North Carolina saying, yes, what you're looking for is looking for you. Bye-bye until the next time.